Some people spend their whole lives trying to fit into a world that never truly understood them. They smile around people but still feel emotionally disconnected inside. They achieve things, yet something deeper keeps calling their soul for more meaning. If you have ever felt like you were born for something bigger, this message may speak to you deeply. Because every chosen person eventually reaches a painful stage called Sophia. Not a person, not a place, but a psychological and spiritual awakening that changes how you see yourself and the world. Sophia is the moment your illusions begin to collapse. It is where emotional pain turns into self-awareness. It is where confusion slowly becomes wisdom, and most people never understand why they had to pass through it. Many people think awakening is beautiful from the beginning, but real awakening often starts with emotional isolation, disappointment, betrayal, and inner conflict. You start noticing fake love, manipulative behavior, and emotional emptiness around you. The things that once entertained you no longer feed your spirit. Your old identity begins to die slowly, and that process can feel terrifying when you do not understand what is happening inside your mind. Sophia is that uncomfortable stage where your soul forces you to grow emotionally. It teaches you lessons your comfort zone could never teach you. And the deeper truth is this: every chosen person must pass through Sophia because wisdom is born through inner confrontation, not through comfort, not through applause from the world. Today, we are going to explore 3 deep reasons why every chosen one must pass through Sophia. These lessons are psychological, emotional, and deeply human. You may finally understand why certain people left your life, why loneliness became part of your journey, why your mind changed after pain, and why your old self can never fully return again. Stay until the end because the final insight may completely change the way you see your struggles. Sometimes what almost broke you was actually rebuilding you internally. Sometimes rejection was protection. Sometimes isolation was preparation. And sometimes your darkest season was secretly creating your strongest identity. Let us begin. The first reason every chosen one must pass through Sophia is because illusion is the biggest prison of the human mind. Most people do not suffer because reality is painful. They suffer because they believed lies for too long. They trusted appearances more than emotional truth. Sophia begins when your illusions start breaking apart one by one. You begin to notice how people pretend to care only when they benefit from you. You notice how society rewards performance more than authenticity. You notice how many relationships survive only through emotional dependency and fear of loneliness. At first, this realization hurts deeply, because awakening destroys comforting lies before revealing deeper truth. And psychologically, that process feels like losing your old emotional home. But this stage is necessary for inner transformation. Sophia teaches you to stop romanticizing people who repeatedly damage your peace. It teaches you to stop abandoning yourself just to feel accepted. Many chosen people spent years trying to be understood by emotionally unavailable people. They over-explained themselves. They tolerated disrespect. They ignored red flags because they wanted connection so badly. But Sophia changes your emotional vision completely. You stop seeing people through fantasy. You start seeing patterns instead of promises. And once you begin seeing patterns clearly, your standards begin to rise naturally. Not from ego, but from self-respect. One painful truth about awakening is this: the more conscious you become, the harder it becomes to tolerate fake energy. Your nervous system starts reacting differently around manipulation and emotional chaos. You become sensitive to dishonesty. You begin protecting your peace more seriously. And some people will call you cold simply because you stopped allowing emotional access to everyone. But maturity is not becoming emotionless. Maturity is learning where your emotional energy deserves to go. Sophia teaches chosen people emotional discernment. And discernment is one of the rarest forms of wisdom in today's world. Because many people still confuse attention with love, and comfort with connection. The second reason every chosen one must pass through Sophia is because the false self must collapse before the authentic self can emerge. Most people are not living as their true selves. They are living as survival versions of themselves. Versions created from fear, rejection, trauma, insecurity, and social pressure. Some people become people pleasers because they fear abandonment. Others become emotionally distant because they fear vulnerability. Some constantly chase validation because deep down they feel invisible inside. Sophia exposes these hidden psychological wounds slowly, and that exposure can feel emotionally overwhelming, because healing requires honesty, and honesty forces you to confront parts of yourself you spent years avoiding. But this confrontation is necessary for transformation. Many chosen people go through seasons where their confidence completely collapses, not because they are weak, but because their ego identity is being challenged internally. The things they used to rely on no longer satisfy them emotionally. Their social mask begins falling apart. Their old coping habits stop working, and suddenly they are forced to sit alone with themselves. No distractions, no applause, no en el escape. Just silence and self-reflection. And this is where true self-awareness begins. Sophia teaches you that healing is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming honest with yourself emotionally. You begin asking deeper questions. Why do I fear rejection so much? Why do I constantly seek external validation? Why do I ignore my intuition around certain people? Why do I stay loyal to people who repeatedly hurt me? These questions unlock hidden emotional truths inside the mind. And once awareness enters your consciousness, you can no longer live unconsciously the same way again. That is the painful beauty of awakening. You start becoming emotionally responsible for your own growth. And that changes everything. The third reason every chosen one must pass through Sophia is because inner strength is born through emotional isolation. Most people discover who they truly are only after losing external support. As long as life feels comfortable, many people never examine themselves deeply. But when isolation enters your life, self-confrontation begins. You start hearing your thoughts more clearly. You start noticing emotional wounds you previously ignored. You begin understanding your patterns, fears, and emotional triggers. And slowly, solitude becomes a mirror. Not a punishment, not abandonment, but a psychological mirror revealing your inner condition. And that process changes you deeply. Chosen people often feel misunderstood during this stage. Friends drift away. Conversations feel shallow. Family members may not understand the changes happening inside you. Sometimes you even begin questioning your own sanity, because awakening separates you from old emotional environments. You start craving depth instead of distraction, meaning instead of popularity, peace instead of constant validation. And not everyone around you will understand that transition. Some people only liked the version of you that needed their approval. But Sophia teaches emotional independence. One of the deepest psychological truths is this. People who cannot sit alone with themselves often fear silence because silence exposes unresolved emotions. But chosen people eventually learn to grow through solitude. They begin developing emotional resilience. They stop needing constant external reassurance. They become more connected to their intuition. And gradually, their inner world becomes stronger than outside noise. That is why Sophia is necessary, because emotional strength cannot be borrowed from other people forever. At some point, your soul must learn how to stand alone internally. And once that happens, your entire energy changes. People begin feeling your quiet confidence without you saying much. The truth is, Sophia is not a punishment. It is a psychological rebirth. It is the painful process of becoming emotionally conscious in a world filled with distraction and illusion. And every chosen person eventually faces this inner journey. Some resist it and remain trapped in old patterns. Others embrace it and slowly transform into wiser versions of themselves. Awakening is not about becoming superior to others. It is about becoming more honest with yourself, more aware of your emotions, more protective of your peace, and more connected to your authentic identity. That is real transformation. If you are currently going through confusion, emotional isolation, or inner change, understand this deeply. Your life may not be falling apart. Your old identity may simply be breaking down. And sometimes that breakdown is necessary before your real self can emerge. Do not fear the season that forces you to grow emotionally. Do not fear the loneliness that teaches you self-awareness. Do not fear the pain that opens your eyes to truth. Because many people spend their whole lives asleep emotionally. But you are beginning to see more clearly now. And once consciousness expands, life can never look the same again. That is both the burden and the blessing of awakening. Always remember this powerful insight. The people who transform the deepest are usually the ones who suffered consciously and learned from it. Not everyone who experiences pain becomes wise. Wisdom comes from reflection, honesty, and emotional growth. Your scars can either become emotional prisons or sources of understanding. The choice is always yours. And the moment you stop running from yourself internally, your transformation truly begins. That is the hidden lesson behind Sophia. Not perfection, not superiority, but self-awareness. And self-awareness changes everything. If this message spoke to you deeply, take a moment to reflect on your own journey. Comment below what you realized about yourself and other people after going through pain and awakening. Your experience may help someone else feel less alone. And if you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep psychological and self-awakening content. Keep growing, keep healing, keep protecting your peace, and never be afraid of becoming the real version of yourself. Because the world may fear awakened people, but your soul was never created to stay asleep forever. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.